All right, Kevin, so how can I help you, man?
So one of the things I wanted to ask about was my mom and my grandma keep sharing political videos and articles, often dozens of times a day.
Oh,
Most of it
man.
looks like propaganda to me. Without telling them, I actually unfollowed both of them on social media just because they were stressing me out with all of the stuff they were putting forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started just directly messaging me like all these things, all these videos about like it's going to be the end of America if X gets elected or Y
Sure.
is trying to rig the election, this, that, or the other. And I talked to my mom and said, hey, this stuff stresses me out. Could you please stop sending it to me? And she responded, well, I just want you to know what to pray for. And I feel like both she and my grandma are using the excuse of prayer to kind of fall down a political rabbit hole. So would you say it's disrespectful for me to just ignore the messages, which is kind of what I'm doing right now? Or should I try to convince them that what they're doing is unhealthy?
Whew, man, that's a lot there. So I'm going to run through this relatively quick. Are you ready, Kevin?
Yes.
Number one, you named one of my pet peeves, brother, which is people who use prayer, who use mindfulness, who use this shroud of love and care to spread gossip about people, right? We've seen these people at church are like, I don't want to gossip, but you know what Susie's been up to, right? We need to pray for Billy because he's about to go to jail, right? It's just a way to snake your way into a conversation that really, at the root of it, is about disparaging people. I can't stand that, right? So number two, dude, you've done the noble thing, which is to have the conversation. My recommendation is to have it one more time and maybe even via email so they can have it in writing and they can go back to it. And here's why. When somebody's amygdala is engaged, when the stress center or fear center of their brain is on fire, they cannot be reasoned with, right? And our brains work that way on purpose. They don't want us looking at the entrance of a cave and being like, is that a nice bear or a gentle bear? Maybe that's a mean bear. Our brains just are designed to say, run, dude, there's a bear. We'll figure out if he's nice later. We're out. And so when we have people in our lives, and we all do, Brother Kevin, who are convinced that this is the end of time. This is it. Things are up. That if President A is elected, we're all going to be okay. If President B is elected, we're all going to die. We are going to die. And there are hurricanes in the Gulf. 2 of them just landed at the same time. The West Coast is on fire. Fill in the blank. It's all a struggle right now. When we have folks in our life like that, just sitting down and trying to talk facts and sense is not helpful. It's just not. And so, yes, at some point after you draw that boundary and say, I'm asking you all to stop, I'm going to continue to pray for our country. I'm going to pray for our family. I'm going to pray for everybody. I don't need the details anymore. If they do it after that, then yes, you got to ignore it. You got to cut them off. You got to block them. You can tell your mom, I'm going to call you, but I've asked you to stop sending me this stuff, and you continue to do it. And I know that's a hard conversation to have, but it is a bold adult conversation. And my promise is she loves you more than the drama, and I think she'll come around, Kevin. You sound like a wise young man, wise beyond many of the folks I run with. Who just let our parents bombard us with some of this stuff, and our kids and our friends and coworkers. But yeah, draw boundaries. And then if people violate those boundaries, you have every right, every responsibility to yourself and those who love you to say, I'm out. I'm not going to respond to this nonsense. I'm going to block your phone call. I'll call you if I need something. For sure, block people on social media and whatnot. But I think the proper way to do this is to write an email to your mom and to your grandma and say, I am praying for our country. I love things. This type of information, I'm not interested anymore. I don't want to see it anymore. Please do not send it to me anymore. And Kevin, I've had those conversations in my life, and the folks that know me and love me have respected those boundaries. And so, man, I appreciate the call. I know that so many people across the country, millions, are dealing with this exact thing. And here's the deal. At the end of this election, regardless of who's elected and who ends up in Washington, who's not in whatever, I'm still going to have to go to Starbucks and see the waitress, see the person at the counter. I'm still going to pump gas next to you in your car. I'm still going to see you at the grocery store. I'm still going to email back and forth to you at work. At the end of the day, our relationships with one another is all that matters. Washington has never... My problems are not going to be solved in Washington, good folks. My problems are going to be solved locally, in my neighborhood, in my office, in my heart. I believe that strongly, and I want to encourage everybody to begin to open back up your relationships around you with your loved ones and respect each other's boundaries.